Hello, it's me again. To anyone watching or listening, it's me, Sean Penalver. Sunday, May 15th. Um, and I just felt called to be here again, journaling and documenting what I'm experiencing and the thoughts that I'd like to connect to you now. Um, so I guess I'm a little unprepared, but I mean that's the point of this is to do it live and in the moment. Um, I guess I'll start off with before the what I guess is bad news. I don't know if it's bad news or not, but it's the more of the deeper issues. We'll get into that later. Um, but the first thing that I'd like to discuss is a word that y'all are probably seeing now more. What I call Caervania. Um, I used it in. I'll probably be using it more uh, as time goes on, and you've now probably seen me use it in my most recent albums that I just published, um, and also in my dissertation or the document, my treatise, essentially. Um, what I describe to be Caervania is essentially uh, it. The word came to me in a dream. Um, it was my subconscious, I guess, attributing to me this word. In the dream, I was essentially just like it was my job to just be me and to help others be themselves, essentially, and to just try to better myself and help others better themselves. Um, the people that I was with at the time, both as um, again, if I'm doing this job right, like they're both friends, but also patrons, or I don't even know the word. But essentially, it's like if I'm helping others, like what was discussed in the dream is like, what is this called? What would this job description be titled? And the word that was given to it was a Caervanist. And I remember in the dream just being like, how do I spell that? How do I write this down? How do I say this information? And then I shortly woke up after that because like in my own head I was just like trying to comprehend this word Caervania. Uh, and so I woke up and I googled the word Caervania. Um, and what I found was essentially when you break it. Well, I didn't find anything. First off, the first thing that came up was Google trying to be like, "Do you mean Carvana, the uh, the car sales industry thing, the company where you can buy cars?" And no, I did not mean that. Um, so I broke it down into subparts. Caer, like Caer, which in Spanish means to fall into, or to collapse, or to decline, or to fall. Um, but also in, I think it was Irish or such. I can't recall correctly right now. You can Google it yourself. Um, it also can mean a fortress or a stronghold. Um, and so, and Vanya means um, truth, or um, the that God, uh, the concept of God is gracious, or that Yahweh is giving. And so, if you put these two words together, Caervania, it means to fall into the truth or to fall into the gift of God. And again, when I say God, I'm not talking about the religious current understanding of God. I'm talking about the concept of the funk that I believe is potentially what we try to describe as God. So to fall into funk, essentially. And so Caervania would essentially be, if I were to describe this correctly to you now being perceptive, let's take animation, for example. When you're animating something, it's basically a picture by picture frame, right? And you take these frames and you put them all together, and when you play them, you get that animated product. So let's say you were to do that on a universal scale of reality, the frames of reality. That is Caervania. And so, like, basically every moment is a frame moving into the next frame or moment. And so these are all Caervania moments. And so Caervanic moments of funk influence. And so essentially, like, let's say we were to take a snapshot of just this moment right here, this moment in time. It's now led to this moment in time, 2-3 seconds later, and now it's in this moment of time, and it's to an infinitesimal level of snapshots of reality that lead up to now this moment, from that moment that was a few seconds ago. And through video or recording and stuff, we can even go back to those moments, though we're still moving forward through time in our present Caervanic moments. And hopefully this is making sense to you. This is the sense that it has to me currently understanding. Again, this is a very young concept that I have been trying to explain for years, really. But now there's an actual word that my subconscious gave it to me. Maybe there's even a word that already describes this through philosophy and even quantum physics. But if not, then the best way I can describe it is Caervania. And so essentially, like, Caervania is what leads literally the funk into the next steps of the funk. It's just that path of funk. And if anyone has any, I mean, really, that's the best I can describe it currently without continuing to repeat myself. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out and we can continue to discuss that together. Because it's kind of just oh man, it's making me think of today. I was re-listening to Philosophize This, and they talked about, like, the structural, how philosophy came to be named. It was basically like philo and thea, how philosophy. I'm gonna look it up right now. Like, we're just gonna do this together. We're gonna take some time. For those of you watching or listening, let's do it. How philosophy was named. So Philo and Sophia. So it's the love of wisdom, essentially. And so, yeah, the Greek word for Philo is love, and then Sophia is wisdom. So the love of wisdom. And so, uh, in my theory of funk leading it into itself, Caervaniacally, today that was led to me to describe this moment. And so, uh, how do I branch that concept over? So, like, this is difficult because it's like, how do I describe this thing that I'm already kind of describing to you now? Just the Caravanic moments leading up to this and how funk influenced every single level of that. And it's led, the Caravanic moments of the past have now led to this, and how with study and observation, how we can basically like go into how each Caervanial moment will lead to the next, and how with influence we then have more level of what the next Caervanial moments are and can be, and how I think that the funk is to a degree at itself guiding the next Caervanial moments, for those looking for these answers. Um, and that's why I think today I came across that moment of breaking down the word philosophy, Philo love, and Sophia wisdom, with what I have been experiencing with Caervania, um, and it being to fall into or to make a fortress of uh, the funk, to fortify the funk within itself, this growing thing, and we're just falling into these next literal frames of moments of time. Uh, so I hope that makes sense. And again, if not, and you have any questions, I want to expand. This is what I'm doing this for, is to try to expand together within this. Because I mean, it's just like, again, with the podcast that I was listening to today, another point is like, um, when it came to like math and Pythagoras and everything, the stuff that they were studying and doing at the time was like mind blowing. Not even mind blowing, but it was like the top tier level stuff. But today, in today's standards, it's basically just like high school math or middle school math or wherever you are in your study, that level of math, because we have expanded on it from that much level of time, together, and so that is what I'm trying to reach with my level of studies and what the things that I'm presenting to you. These ideas are just, yeah, they're just now growing, but eventually, who's to say that like they're not the thing that is just, oh, we just know this now. It's now, this is now just sixth grade, seventh grade information, rather than the things that, uh, like the metaphor I'm getting right now is like, and I said this to someone the other day, is essentially like all the things that I'm describing to you with funk and Caervania and all these ideas that I propose in my treatise, essentially, is like if I were to be just sending you calculus in another language, right? Like if I were to just be like speaking, and I'm not going to choose a language. Let's just say an imaginary language, right? That doesn't exist yet. But now it exists because I'm describing to you calculus in this language. You're not going to understand what I mean, um, until you further investigate that, whether you want to or not. And so most people, now that I'm speaking this unintelligible language of calculus, a lot of people are just going to be like, "This doesn't make sense to me. I'm signing off here." And so that is what I've been meeting or kind of seeing with some people the last few years, now that I've been talking about these things, is again, I'm speaking this different language that I want to connect with other people with, but some people just don't want to know calculus and they don't understand the language that I'm speaking. Um, but again, the goal is to be able to, whether they understand calculus or the language I'm speaking, uh, for everyone to be understanding of it and in it, because that is it's the construction of itself. And by planting these seeds caravagnically, uh, again, right now we don't technically all together understand this moment, but uh, hundreds to maybe 10 years down the line, hundreds of years down the line, thousands of years down the line, I I won't be there. But if my theory is correct, then this moment of influence that I'm creating right now at 14 minutes 37 seconds at Sunday, May 15th and 4 a.m., uh, it's now expanded into the future, caravagnically, and now you are witnessing it in your caravagnic moments from these caravagnic moments that I'm recording right now. And that influence that I've been forming over years now is expanding again into you. And now you are expanding that influence in whatever way you want to or don't want to. Again, uh, the metaphor of the calculus. Now that I have spoken to you in this different language, this calculus thing, you can either be like, oh, this makes sense to me, or this doesn't make sense to me. And you are now doing whatever that you do. And there's no right or wrong. You just are going to be. And I think I discussed that in my last video of just the importance to just be. Uh, and so now, again, you've either listened or haven't listened this far. Some of you are still experiencing this moment, and some of you have already turned off uh, this video or stopped listening to it. But it still exists. The information is still there and is still happening and existing. And that's kind of the importance that I'm trying to highlight with funk and Caervania, is how each and every moment influences the next. And when we give more creation and influence, the what we can create with the next level of funk, and how fast we can reach further influences in the future. Because for example, right now, the influence is small. It's only to the degree of what I, Sean Penalver, have reached out in the years of what I have done and what I have what's a word for this now? I guess my universal reach, like my field of influence as Sean Penalver, what I have reached Caervanially. And in my field of influence, it's right now, it's not to a degree. It is both. It is paradoxically large and small, because I know that I have, as myself and as an artist, my music, my art, the things that I do are worldwide, and I see, and I have proof of people experiencing the things that I do on a daily level, or even over time, to experience like worldwide. My music, for example, last year was played in 135 countries out of 165, and only on Spotify. And so that literally is a worldwide level, and that was only on Spotify. So I'm guessing like, because my music is available on every platform, even free. I'd like to think of it as commercially creative license. I want anyone to be able to use my music or be inspired by it, and to just create more off of it, either with it or create new things from it. But that is my level of influence. Now, the response I get back, what I can relate right now is like lately, the things that I've been posting, like my podcasts or the Art of Ceilings, or even my new albums lately. Lately, I've only been getting maybe like 5 likes, 5 responses. I can't for sure know how many people I'm actually reaching. Now I'm seeing people are reaching it. I don't know how many people are just looking at it and moving on, and I'll never know. And I don't know if that's because there is proof that Facebook kind of, or these media sites, or the people that own where you're posting your information through and what the information is going through, they can choose how these algorithms interact with each other and what information goes where. And because I used to get like a good amount of likes and feedback from all my stuff, and let's for example, on Facebook, I have 2,000 friends. So you would think I would be getting more likes or interaction with the things that I do, which I'm not complaining. I don't mind. I'm going to do the things that I do no matter what, whether people. I'm like looking at myself. I need to be looking at you. But again, I'm just talking out in general. I'm going to move the video more center so it looks like I'm looking at you. Again, trying to reconsist where I'm getting at. I'm not complaining. I'm going to do the things that I do no matter what, no matter whether they get 0 likes or 1 million likes. But uh, going back to the level of influence that I was mentioning in Caervanic influence, uh, let's say I was getting 1 million likes or 1 million watches, that will interfere, not interfere, that will influence these Caravanic moments to that higher level degree, to where now we are influencing the future at an immaculately more influenced rate, because there's greater influence within it, and we're now looking within uh, that theoretical moment of like me getting, and not me. Again, as I'll stress this a lot. It's like I'm not looking for the attention. The attention that I'm seeking is the ideas behind all of this. They're just flowing through me. Again, I'm not trying to do this out of vanity or anything. It is literally just like I think these ideas deserve more attention. Um, and it's the ideas that I'm trying to discuss, and that's what I'm trying to raise more influence. Not me as a person, as Schopenhauer, but the ideas. Um, but to recall back, it's just how those influences are different depending on what we're feeding into it. And so again, the effect of a Caravanic funk influence is going to be completely different. Let's say, I'm trying to give you an abstract idea rather than myself. Um, a worm being a worm, right? It's again, theoretical worm. It's just going to be a worm that exists, right? It doesn't. We're not giving it much attention. It's just going to live and be his life, right? It's just going to do his thing. But now let's say that we all have our focus on this worm. We are influencing what is now happening with that worm's life, um, because we are now directly impacting the worm. We're now observing the worm. Let's say that like you take a worm and it's just living its life, it's doing its thing, it's never going to be interrupted, or not never, it's going to interact with in its life in the environment around it. But now let's say that humans, let's say someone sees this worm and now they're live feeding this worm, right? They're like, oh, look at this worm, and now everyone's looking at this worm, and that right there, just that influence is impacting this worm's uh, funk, this on a Caervanic level, because now the influence is now greater into feeding into that worm and the observation of the worm and what is happening next within its Caervanic future moments. Um, because anything can happen. The person videoing the worm could, you know, do anything with the worm, or someone through the video could suggest that person to do something with the worm, or anything. Anything is possible. It's an entire spectrum of now Caervanic funk influence. Again, hopefully that makes sense. I'm trying to, again, I'm trying to make it make more sense. And if the calculus in a different language, unintelligible language, right now doesn't make sense to you, it's because I am also still just learning. I'm in this process with you as a person and a human. Um, and again, that's why I'm trying to open this study to more people so that it can be honed and reach that level of future Caravanic, where it's going to be in the future. We're not there yet. We are now in the evolving moments, and it's going to continue evolving, whether I'm here or not, which is what I'd like to get into next, I guess. Um, and I brought it up earlier, the more bad news, sad news. Um, Personally, me, uh, and where I'm at in life, in my health, and everything. Really, I don't know. There's we exist, or I exist currently in an American healthcare system that really, in my experience, doesn't care. It's taking advantage of the people within it, and it's more affordable to just die than it is to live in debt. Uh, and I don't know. I'm not trying to step on a soapbox or anything, or am I? But personally, what I have been experiencing over the last year, or more, really, more than a year, is I guess I have sleep apnea, right? And that I had insurance for a little bit while I was working at the Manil, and I used that insurance to try to figure out the things that I was experiencing, what was wrong with me, and some things that I had been experiencing almost lifelong, uh, and ailments and everything. And one of the things that we got to in this time, after many, many doctor's visits of no results, and just sending me to the next doctor after doctor after doctor, and over thousands of dollars in just like doctor's visits fees to get no answers. One of the last things before I lost insurance was that I have sleep apnea, or they think that I have sleep apnea. And so, um, what I have been experiencing for a while, and I have noticed this, is, uh, and maybe I do have sleep apnea. I can't confirm or deny this. Like I'm not a trained medical professional or a doctor, but what I have been experiencing is breathing issues. I do notice myself either stopping my breath, that I'm not breathing, or as I really experienced tonight, I felt vulnerable and that I should talk to everyone about this, is that like it was very hard for me to breathe today. Uh, I was literally, and I've experienced this before. It wasn't just tonight. It's like I'm not getting enough air. It's like the way I breathe just isn't correct. It's like I can't get in enough air, and I'm tired all the time. I wake up almost hourly. I have and when and to be, I guess, a little personal, like um, I wake up a lot. I have to pee a lot, and that apparently comes with sleep apnea. Um, and that's what I've kind of been experiencing, like uh, before recording this video. It's like I've had to pee like every 15 minutes, which is not normal for me. And I felt like I couldn't breathe, and it was just like I still kind of feel like it right now. I'm a little more now that I think that I'm distracted and speaking and talking and doing rather than focusing in on itself. I think that it's not as bad. Um, but I definitely notice it in moments of calmness or even when I'm trying to sleep. And I do think that it is affecting my health. Um, I definitely feel personally, um, like, this is right now what I'm experiencing is like, am I being too open and honest about these things? Like, but that's kind of where I want to be. I want to be open and honest with the world in the future of like what I'm experiencing, uh, because this is reality. Um, and I guess like this is me coming or seeking help from the universe. You know what I mean? Like even if nothing comes from this, like, because I mean, like again, like to step back on this soapbox, like I don't have insurance, and even if I did, here in America, it's like you go for help, and it's like you're in debt. If personally I were to like, let's say there is a solution for what I'm experiencing, it's going to cost money. That like now I'm having to work harder to just pay for staying alive. And is that worth it? And personally, like no, I don't think it is. I would personally rather just die than to pay into this system that we currently have, because it's not worth it. And it's a terrible thing to say, and it's a terrible thing to be put through because I want to continue being here and existing, and and this is selfish. This is a selfish desire to just continue to want to expand into the universe, these Caervanic funk influences, and to just be here to witness what happens next. Um, I want to be here with my family, and I want to see like just where this information goes and where the like all of life goes. But like at the same time, I understand that people and things come and go, and so it's like if it's my time to go, then it's my time to go. I'm not trying to hold on to that forever, and so that's why I'm trying to get all this information to a degree of level where it can be carried on even when I'm not here. And hopefully, and I really do hope that like this information carries on after I am gone. Um, and I can't when I am gone, there's no promise in that because I can no longer be there to inspire the Caervanic influence. Um, but that's what I've been working on these last few years is how to carry this on, how to hopefully continue this information. As like again, I think I talked about in the last video, like the immortality project that Emerson presents. Like we're all just trying to immortalize ourselves uh, into the next moment out of a fear of death, in a way. If I'm understanding that correctly, or the lesson that I learned in Emerson correctly. Um, but I don't know how long I'm going to. I try to stay healthy. I've been working out. I have been taking a break the past few weeks as I went on vacation and I went out of town and everything. But I have been being healthier lately, and so even if I were to be like super healthy or not, it's just like I'm still experiencing all these health things, and anything could happen, uh, with sleep apnea. From what I've been reading, like you can just die in your sleep, So uh, I'm not trying to be pessimistic or optimistic. I'm just being. This is a thing that happens to people in life, and so I'm considering that, taking it into consideration, and this is what I'm doing with that information: is trying to pass on my experience to you, uh, so that these studies can hopefully continue even when I'm not here, you know. Um, and now I'm my funk instinct is telling me is to again remind everyone that I love you, like while I can. Because when you're gone, you can't do that. Like you can't remind the people. I'm getting teary. I'm getting a little teary here because it's like I am connecting with you in the future. Whoever is watching this or listening, and I want you to know if you've been again, you've taken the time to try to understand this calculus from another language that I'm speaking to you, and that means so much to me. It means a lot to anyone, and I think that's why it's so important to just be there for anyone, to just be there. And so I hope that things get better, not just with myself, but like, again, like this whole theory that I've been trying to propose to you of what is the next step for humanity, socially, universally, in reaching the overman. Like, because I mean, like, healthcare right now, that's the issue that I'm experiencing. Is like I can't just go get help for this. It costs way too much money, and even with the money, it's like I don't have the time or the resources for that. And so it's just like I'm going to do what I can with the time and the money that I have to do this right now, to be with you, rather than live a life in debt, or to pass that debt to my family in the future. Um, And I may be, I may be over analyzing and overthinking things, but even still, it's like I think it is important to translate this message of like A, all this information, and B, that I love you and that I can say that right now while I'm still here. Uh, and I say you, and I mean it, to anyone or everyone experiencing this moment. You, I love you, and I'm saying that to myself right now. I mean, so sorry to get emotional, but again, this experience is to be vulnerable and to be within reality with each other. Uh, we'll see where this goes. Um, again, when it comes to technological influence, what I have been experiencing since the last video is where do you share this information? Um, because I shared it on Facebook, which got a couple likes, a couple views, and Instagram, which got a couple of likes, a couple of views. I think overall the last video so far has 40 something views, which is not a lot. And I from what I saw, only one person listened to it or watched it all the way through. Which Courtney, thank you so much for doing that. That means a lot to me, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it as you reflected in your comment. Um, and so I hope that expands because again, it's now there for the entire future to watch. It's not something I'm going to delete. It's going to be there until the internet deletes it or something deletes it. And so again, I've planted that Caervanic influence seed, and hopefully it continues to expand in the future. The same as this one. Hopefully it continues to expand and have some impact on everything, which it is and is not. Uh, it's to the degree of influence that we give it, whether it's small or large. Whether it is just what it is as being, or it is as it is as we observing. And again, whether it's to use the metaphor, whether it's just the worm being itself, or the worm as we are now interacting with it. Um, so yeah, thanks for being here. Um, oh, continue on that. Again, what I have been experiencing is like I don't know, I'm having difficulty of where to share this, and so I think one of my next steps is to start just doing live Twitch streams, um, to try to just talk to people directly. To like maybe like people will just filter in and out, and we'll just have live conversations of just this, just one on one, just like, hey, thanks for being here. What's on your mind? Because I think that is how the funk feeds itself carvanically, and that's what it's leading me to do. Um, and because I tried to post on like Reddit, like philosophy and everything, and I was basically just like, with all the mods and all the rules and everything, like I couldn't post on one subreddit that didn't almost instantly delete or remove what I was trying to share, of just like getting feedback, or just like, hey, let's talk about this. What do you think about this? I'm not trying to make like a point or anything, like let's just examine this, and what do you think? Like what goes on in your head? And philosophy was just like, no, like this isn't a place for philosophy, um, which is astounding. And so I'm still just looking for more places where to expand this information, um, because I don't have that reach yet. I mean, again, I do and don't. It's just a belief. Um, and I'm going to be personal again. What I've been experiencing as a person and artist is just like, I see so many people supporting each other and believing each other. Like, this person is that. Like, oh wow, I really, and I'm not going to use like any specific names or anything like to call anyone out, but it's just like I see support in other places. I see people supporting things, and really giving it like their belief, and like being like, oh, here it's let's celebrate this person, right? Like let's give to this person or let's celebrate this person just because like it's just like I this other person feels compelled to share more information on another person. And personally, I've I have experienced that, but it's rare and it's not to the degree of like um I, don't, I guess it is selfish or vain, to be like um why am I not as celebrated as others, And I'm not trying to, again, I'm not trying to be celebrated. I'm my what I'm trying to achieve is just that higher level of influence that this information is now being able to reach others at a higher influence. Like I don't want to be a celebrity or in the spotlight or like basically those things. I don't want to be this big deal, but you have to be this big deal in order for like that influence to grow faster at the point that I'm trying to expand it upon. Um, and what I've been reflecting on lately is like, I guess the universe is just humbling me. It's teaching me to be humble. It's like you don't need those things, and they'll happen with time. You just keep doing you, and be present. Because you do and don't need those things. I don't need them. Again, I desire them because I want to be on the level where it's like I can do great things with the influence that would be coming to me. Like, let's say that I was on the level of, um, let's say that I was like a high famous YouTuber or TikTok influencer, or that all the art and the music that I, Sean Panauer, raised me to this level where now the world saw me, Sean Panauer, as like a influential person, where it's like, oh wow, that I just was making money by being me, a Caervanialist or an influencer, I guess, to modern social standards. And so I'm trying to reach influencer level so that I can influence greater things to happen. My goals in life is to be only successful that I can like redistribute that success and that wealth, uh, so that others can expand and grow from it. Like, and I know that I'm not going to, again, I'm not going to be around forever. So it's like that's why it's so important for me to reach those goals now, so that I can try to do more while I'm here and existing. Because once I'm gone, like again, I no longer have any say or do or influence in it personally. My past ideas will still be reflecting from the future, or the future will still be reflecting from now what you're experiencing this moment. Um, but personally, I won't be there to further guide it or influence into what the directions that it could take. Um, and so that's why I'm trying to do everything I can now to reach that level. But it's hard because again, I'm not seeing the support that like I wish that that would bring me to that level. And I'm not sure if it's me as a person or the art that I do or the things that I say. If I push again the calculus that I'm telling you, if that's pushing others away, um, because it has me torn. Like I want to do so much for the entire universe, reality itself. Like I want to be there for humanity and more than just humanity, like interspecies. Like I just want to be there for again what I describe as the funk. Like I just want to attempt to And I know it's subjective to make things better or worse, like, but I want to be there to just do what we can to make things better for each other. Um, and I want to be there to argue those decisions. Like, what does it mean to be better? Like, for example, I say that universal healthcare, like, again, if I had healthcare, like, I'd be facing less issues. If you had healthcare, like, what would the world be like if we just had a better, more affordable healthcare, and you could just go to a doctor, like, someone would be there, or like you could actually trust a doctor rather than being, um, not a doctor. You could trust the medical industry that they're going to try to heal you rather than try to profit off of not being healed, because they make more money off of you continuing to be sick than rather being like, this is the thing that you need. And so we're just profitable cash cows right now, to put it to a term. And again, this is just me speaking my thoughts, my current opinions, and everything from what I'm experiencing. But again, it's all in the hopes to just be able to help in the future. And whether I achieve that personally or not, uh, you see my intentions of trying to influence the future Caervania funk. I'm trying to plant these seeds and be there for the future. Um, but again, what I'm currently experiencing is that, like, that humans enjoy the path of least resistance. Um, and I'm going to put it in like a metaphor. I'm not saying that, like, I've discovered the meaning of life or anything. That would be the future goal. Like, I'm trying to plant these moments so that in the future it expands from here, or in all the things that lead up to this moment. But, like, it feels that, like, let's say a million years in the future, we had the answer. Like, we were like, if you listened to like a 10-second, like, let's say that, like, someone was able to tell you a word and it would instantly solve all your problems, right? It seems currently that a lot of people would just choose to not want to hear the word, and to just exist. Uh, and you can't, like, blame them for wanting that. Uh, it is a personal choice. It is just them being. It is their meaning of life to just be, and to be against that. Um, and so it is just like, it makes things paradoxical of, like, is it worth it? Is it worth it or not? Like, because you're always going to meet this, or I can't say always, because what if we don't? Like, what if that is only currently known to be true, that we meet this resistance with each other, because we're still expanding into territory and social evolution and connection that we don't understand yet. Um, but it depends on how we guide each other into that. Like, again, either we have governments or leaders that take advantage of us, or we have leaders that lead us into further connection with each other. It depends on how, are we going to continue to take advantage of each other as human species, and not just as humans, but like how we treat animals and everything. Like, one thing that I've mentioned before, and that you'll probably hear me bring up again, is like, uh, farmers don't pay their livestock or their crops, um, and is that problematic? Like, how would we even pay livestock or crops? Like, how would we, uh, what's the word? give reparations or give thanks to these things for providing for us, rather than just like treating them as what they are now, like kind of uh, like as we are higher things than them, like, and just taking it from them. Like, we grow these crops and we keep these livestock, as like our slaves in a way. Um, and so like, how do we reach that next level, or is that even like achievable goal? Is that even thing that people want to do? And I think that it would be a human selfishness to just be like, we don't need to raise these things up to our level because they're not us, they're not human. But they are living things of the funk, and we are living things of the funk, and molecularly and to a funk level, they are just funk, you know. And so like, they are us, Uh, and I know that sounds like to some people, ooh, we can't prove that. It's or like sounds like hoodoo voodoo, uh, or I'm trying to think of the word, like kind of spiritualistic or holistic or other territories. I'm sorry if I'm not correctly describing the semantics to you. But like, that's kind of what makes sense to me, is that like, again, like when you break things down, everything to a universal funk level, like we're all just this funk experience. Like, um, if this, again, theoretically, if this were a simulation, even though it is and is not, like, uh, what is this broken down to on like when you flip the light switch on of existence in the universe? What is the energy that makes us do this? What is that like? And so like, let's say like, let's compare this to a computer program. Like, what makes that program run? Everything within that computer program is just data, right? Uh, and so like, all of the things in the universe is just data. And so I am data, the crops are data, the livestock is just data. Yes, it's different data individually, but overall it's from the same source of data. And so like, to think that we are above it is, in my opinion, like, I don't know the word. What's coming to my mind right now is a fallacy or a farce. It's just, I don't think it's the final answer. Um, and a lot of people will be like, "Oh no, we're humans. We're better than that thing." And I think it's arrogant. It's hubris. It's very humanist to think that humans are the last or the overall thing, or above anything. Uh, that we are and we aren't. We do have more control than many things, and it's that power that like becomes problematic, but also the solution to some things. Um, it's very influential. It influences Caervanial moments to a high degree. Um, but again, I've kept y'all for an hour. This was a very long video. I had a lot of thoughts, and I have many more. And I could probably talk forever. I could probably keep this going live until I fall asleep or anything. Which would be a fun idea and concept, but many of you don't want to experience that. Some of you do. It is a spectrum of a universe that we live in. And so I guess I'm trying to give you a mixture of all of that. Um, again, I appreciate you being here, and especially if you've listened or watched this far. Again, I love you. Uh, trying to think of any final things to say because really that's it. Like I can't stress it enough. Thanks for being here. I guess what I'm experiencing now is trying to make it this like grand moment of like this is the end of the video, you know, like this is the end of the thing. Um, and I guess this is it. This is the highlight. All right, bye. No, I can't just close it off like that. But you get what I mean. Like I'm experiencing conflict of how do I best end this and say goodbye, because I don't want to say goodbye, and I have a hard time saying goodbye to anyone because I feel that like goodbyes are permanent, you know. Uh, and so I'm never trying to say goodbye when I leave. It's more of like see you next time. But then eventually, like that becomes not true. You know, anything can happen, and any of us can go at any time, and we just log out of our server. And I guess I'll explain more on that some other time. Again, I don't know. I'm bad at endings. Bad at goodbyes. So I am going to just make a decision and to say thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you have any more thoughts, questions, concerns, anything, uh, if, just reach out. Just be there, either for me or anyone. Uh, Again, like I do. I both. I am such a conflicting person. I do and don't need anything, you know. And so, like, just be there for each other. Be there, you know. And it's hard because you also have to be there for yourself. Um, but just be you. Just be you being there, if that makes sense. Um, I can't say it enough, and I'm going to repeat myself again. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. All right. See you all next time.